spiel I do every time. So you have a little note card. If you didn't get one, does everyone have a note card? Yeah, hold your note card up.
Yes.
Nice. All right, so if you don't have a note card, since there's so many of you, which is super awesome, we ran out of note cards, which is great. I'm really excited about that. However, we don't have any. So Lily has been really cool and ripped up some paper so if you didn't get a note card, or if you have a piece of paper, because you're a high school student, you should have that, you can just write it on a small piece of paper. Resourceful. So anytime during this lecture, if you learn something about yourself, Ms. Giordano, the world, however, if you get a feeling in the middle of this, write it down. Write it on the note card, and then at the end, we share them with her. So don't say anything super meaning, or you can, but you know about it, so be careful. Anyway, so we're also going to be passing around a sign-in sheet, so please sign in, because today we are trying to break the record for Real Talk, and we're going to see if we did it. 99 people, and if we can hit triple digits, she will currently hold the record at 100 people or more, which is pretty freaking cool. So, without further ado, Mrs. Giordano speaking on anxiety and other high school stuff.
Okay, so first of all, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
I don't need a mic or anything, right? Okay. So, first of all, you're going to have to just bear with me a little bit because all of the other teachers that have done these teacher talks have been way cooler than me and have been able to just get up here and just talk off the cuff, and let's consider the topic that I'm speaking on. I have some notes, okay? It's like my little security blanket. Okay, so just, Anyway, cut me a little slack. So, yes, I am talking about anxiety today, and I want to start off with a definition. I literally went to the dictionary and looked it up. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines anxiety as a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. Okay? And anxiety is something that has been a part of my life since I can remember. And I want to put a little disclosure statement out there that some of these experiences that I'm going to describe to you, some of these thoughts and emotions are going to seem a little crazy to you. And that's okay, because to this day, when I look back on them, some of them seem very crazy to me as well. But I assure you that when they were happening, they were very real and terrifying at times. My earliest memories of anxiety comes from, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years old. I can remember part of my sort of going to bed routine. Your parents have tucked you in, you've got your little stuffed animals, the lights are off, and the thoughts would start to come. Part of my sort of falling asleep procedure was creating lists in my head of things that I needed to worry about. And it was always this voice of the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if no one will play with me on the playground tomorrow? What if I don't know how to spell a word on my spelling test? What if I forget the lines in the play this weekend? Just this constant what ifs. And in parent-teacher conferences, all the way even up through, even into high school, I can remember my teachers always describing me to my parents as a worrier. And someone who is a very cautious person. And I am. I have never broken a bone. I have never been in any serious trouble. I've never even been on a loop-de-loop roller coaster, okay? I'm not a risk taker. And I attribute that to the fact that these things cause me anxiety. Pretty much in all situations in my life, anytime I come into particularly any kind of new situation, I have to have a backup plan. I have to have an escape route, if you want to call it that, which is exactly why I have my notes here. Should I completely forget everything? I have an escape route. In my adult life, there are really three main instances that anxiety really came to the forefront for me. The first being right here at Oakton. My first few years teaching here at Oakton, I was just absolutely fixated on the thought that I had to be in my classroom anytime before my students arrived. So, for example, think about the class that you have right after lunch, okay? When you go to that class and you are approaching that classroom, is the door open? Is it closed? Is your teacher there waiting for you? Or is your teacher not there waiting for you? I can remember those first few years absolutely wolfing down my lunch in like 10 minutes or less, because I absolutely had to get back to my classroom before my students got there. In my mind, the thought was, if my students had to wait outside my door, even for a minute, they would lose respect for me. And if they lost respect for me, then they're not going to listen to me. And if they're not going to listen to me, then how am I supposed to teach them? And if I can't teach them, then I've lost control of my classroom. And if I've lost control of my classroom, things are going to get unruly and out of control. And if things get unruly and out of control, I mean, it's only a matter of time. There's going to be a fight that's going to break out. Right? Can you see this spiral of totally irrational thought, this irrational worry? But that is honestly what I thought would happen. Just if I wasn't there to greet my students when they came back from lunch. Another time that stands out in my mind was a time when I was invited to one of my girlfriends' her bachelorette party. And the plan was, it was a group of about 10 of us. We were going to meet at this restaurant down in DC, have dinner, drinks, maybe go out dancing later, just have a great time. And I knew the bride-to-be pretty well, but the other girls in the group, I had only met a few of them, just a handful of times. Didn't really know them well. And I became absolutely convinced that I was going to have an awful time. It was going to be horrible. Social anxiety was a big problem for me at that time. And I just was convinced it was going to be awful. And I didn't really want to go. And my husband, to try and calm me down, said, hey, listen, no big deal. If you find that you're just not having a good time, you're not really feeling it, just call a cab. Cab will bring you home, no big deal. Okay, well, again, let me say, to a person who is struggling with anxiety, the most rational solutions, the most soothing, calming person, it's like you can't hear it. Great suggestion by my husband, but then I became convinced that, oh, well, there's no way that a cab is going to drive me from DC all the way to Fairfax, where we were living at that time. And then I would be stuck in DC by myself, a young woman alone in a dangerous city. I will spare you the details, but you can imagine where my mind was going of like all the things, the horrible fates that would befall me in this dangerous city.